All right, we are live here with our trading crew. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Happy Friday. Another episode of FOMO Friday. We're going to be diving into the markets, looking at the charts, some really awesome setups coming up. And markets are doing what we've been anticipating, what we've been talking about. We talked about it during last FOMO Friday. Look at where price is today. We were talking about that 78 level, 78K, remember? Because there is a nice little fib for yearly, and we're going to break it down later today. So excited to dive into the markets. Thank you for tuning in. Also, wanted to throw it out there that anything that we do discuss here today is not financial advice. It's purely for educational purposes. We're just here to draw some lines, draw some conclusion, and looking at the charts to see what's coming up next and prepare ourselves. So thank you for tuning in. So we'll go ahead and get started. Bits, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Had a had a good morning. Woke up to some alt positions, deep into profits as I've been kind of talking about some of these alts, just showing some high time frame setups that some of them took a long time, but they're playing out nicely. So it's been a good morning for me. Woke up in a good mood with some green results in my trading accounts, and overall looking pretty good. Bitcoin's pushing up. Everything's looking like we're potentially pushing a little higher.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Excited to dive into that for sure. I also had a long position and we'll dive into that. I've already taken profits from that one, so we'll look into it a little bit later. Bits, you want to bring up your charts?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me 1 second. I'll pull up Trading View here. Uh, let's see here. Give me 1 sec. There. I don't know why StreamYard does not like me lately, but it does not like me right now.
StreamYard has been acting up a
Let's see.
little bit.
Yeah, it's had issues with X. It had issues with YouTube. It's just been it's been interesting. But there we go. I think my trading view should be available now. Here, let me add it to the stage. Boom. There we go. Cool. So what do I have it on here? I'm on stablecoin dominance. So this is really quickly. I guess we can hit on this before we move on. Uh-oh. I think I'm lagging. Maybe it is my network right now then. Can you guys still hear me and still see the screen? Everything's good?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can see the screen. It
Yep.
just dropped me a
Okay.
second ago. I thought it was my network too, but I don't think it
Okay.
is.
Maybe it's StreamYard then. Maybe it is StreamYard. I don't know, but it's been kind of funky. So
Or
if I
X, maybe X too. I
yeah,
don't
if
know.
if if we cut out or whatever, just be patient, guys. I've even had it kick me fully out of the stream, and the stream stayed live, and then I just had to go back into StreamYard again, jump into studio, and the stream was still live. So if something happens, I guess just word of advice for all of us is don't panic. We should be able to get back in here um, if we do get kicked out for whatever reason. But this is stablecoin dominance. We've been watching this move down here. It's just getting into some levels that are starting to become a little bit interesting here. Like if you were to pull a fib of this entire move, um, essentially we're coming down here to about the point 0.5 at the moment. And then right below this channel, you've got that golden pocket. Now, if you were to pull this a little bit differently, like let's say you pulled it off of here, or even off of that body here, right where the momentum and the volume starts to come in, this starts to look pretty interesting here. You've basically got the golden, 618 to 0.65 ish pocket right here at the bottom of this channel for stablecoins. So I'm going to be watching to see what kind of reaction we get. If stablecoin, goes slightly below that and then is able to somehow reclaim the channel, then I'm looking for potentially a move higher, which would mean that our little pump in BTC and in crypto is probably coming to an end sooner than later. But if this melts, if this just absolutely melts through here and goes significantly lower, then I think we need to be watching for potentially something like that, where it does try and come back in, but ultimately rejects near these lows here, and then we see that follow through down here into kind of where this volume node is right here, and it's where we've previously kind of gone sideways. So those are the two things I'm watching for stablecoin dominance. Just really paying attention to that here in the short term to try and see, I don't know, see if we can get a little bit of clarity as to like what's happening here. To me, though, if I'm looking at this is still very much in a healthy uptrend. So there's nothing here that's telling me that, this is done going up. This thing can come all the way down here and still go higher. At that point, obviously, if it comes very, very low, we're kind of looking to see if there's maybe weakness on the push up, but ultimately this could still push higher before this rolls over, if it rolls over at all. So yeah, that still looks fine to me. But and then in conjunction with that, watching BTC as BTC comes up here to the top of its current channel. It's also coming into this like low volume area here on the profile. One of the things that I shared, and maybe I'll share this really quickly, Lady Trader, is I had done I zoomed out and I was looking at like the quarterly chart, and I was looking at monthly, and BTC is very interesting. Like if you go to the quarterly chart on BTC, this area here is something I'm paying attention to very closely. This like 72 to 82. Just based off of this, right? Based off of the fact that you've had these interesting quarterly closes there. We've not really seen BTC spend a lot of time inside of this gray box. Usually when it's inside of the gray box, if you look at the candles that move through the zone, they're usually pretty explosive moves. It wants to get through this zone rather quickly. It doesn't want to spend a lot of time in here. So for me, this like 72 to 82 is kind of like a no man's land. I think there's a really high possibility and probability, I guess you could say at this point, that you're going to get one of two outcomes in here. And I've actually highlighted it here. But essentially the way I'm thinking about this is like, this is a zone. Let's go to the weekly. It's a little cleaner on the weekly. This is a zone that if you look at the data, if you look at the evidence here that we have with the historical data, BTC either likes to, it's either going to get a rejection from this zone, right? Whether it's above it or below it, it doesn't matter. It's either going to hit it and reject like it did many times back here in 2024. Like it also did here in 2025. It came to it, rejected, came to it, rejected, right? Came to it here, rejected. And then this year as well, now that we're below it, came up to it, rejected. And we're currently watching to see what's going to happen. And when it doesn't reject, you fly right through it. You teleport through it. You get the rocket ship move through the zone, just like you got the rocket ship move through the zone back here. You don't see a lot of chop. There really isn't anywhere in this 72 to 82 where you could say, okay, we've gotten the equivalent of like something like this. Like you don't have consolidation there. Like you don't have anywhere in here where there's a bunch of sideways action anywhere in here. It just does not exist, right? It does not exist. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but it historically has not happened. This zone has been a zone that you've either gone, quickly through it with speed and with momentum, like we saw here, right? Like we saw here, or it acts as like a wall and you get a rejection, like you saw all these other times here where it refused to go through the zone. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that, I think that right now the main thing I'm watching for is this move that's initiated here, this move that's already started, is this move going to actually be maybe another rocket ship move that gets back above it, right? And then if it does happen to get back above it, does it come down and get rejected after that, and then it can hold and go higher? Or are we actually about to see that this move here is actually going to be another rejection, right? And even though it's going a little bit deeper into the zone than we've seen in the past, is that just going to reject and ultimately continue to prove out that BTC does not like to spend a lot of time between 72 and 82? at the moment. So that's really what I'm watching here for Bitcoin. Um, you can zoom in and draw a whole bunch of other lines and a whole bunch of other analysis, but what I like about the high time frame is that it gives you a very clear expectation as to what kind of move you're looking for here. So when I'm looking at BTC here, my mind is looking for either, okay, I need to see big continuation, I need to see something that's just going to shoot this price all the way through that, or I need to be looking for exhaustion and I need to be prepared to position somewhere in here to get that kind of a move. So, and look, there's plenty of room. The essentially the trade that I shared a while back and that I'm still pretty much waiting for is this. This is the one that I had shared where I was looking to get short anywhere on a move above this previous high, kind of heading into these equal highs here for BTC, roughly about there, right? So somewhere in there, I'm kind of looking, and we're just now getting into that area. Obviously when I shared it, I said, okay, like maybe a stop above here. This is all going to depend, like your stop and your entry is going to depend on when we actually see this thing start to kind of shift some structure and start turning around. So right now it's still early, but this was really just shared as a way to illustrate like where my interest begins to get peaked, and that's above this level here. And so we're kind of just coming into that. So I want to see, and if we're highlighting like that 72 to 82 zone, essentially we're looking at 72 to 82 ish, something like that. Like this is right in line with where we would be expecting a rejection from this zone, somewhere in here. There's also at the same time that fib channel that's on currently here that can be placed on BTC. We're right at the extreme of it, but again, just because we're outside of it doesn't mean anything. We saw that example there where it was right outside of it and it still ended up coming and finding acceptance back into the channel. So if that were to happen up here, it could just be another repeat of that. Even if it goes slightly higher, if it ultimately finds back into this range, then I'm looking lower. So but that's pretty much the lens that I'm looking at BTC through. Got a whole bunch of alts that I've been combing through and just looking at stuff. Ethereum looks pretty strong as well. I do have an alert on ETH above here as well, because same thing, right? If ETH starts going above here, I'll start looking for potentially positioning. As soon as I see some exhaustion or I see that you're doing some kind of like volume song and dance that's kind of hinting at maybe that was like a blow off move. And then ultimately, I mean, even something like this, like if you positioned right here, if you're willing to do a wide enough stop, it's a little bit better than the 1-to-1 if you're just targeting just the lows. And if you get a move that goes below that, obviously that improves, right? And then if you're able to, once you get the move, you're able to tighten up your stop a little bit, you can get a much more favorable entry and set up here for this trade. So that's pretty much what I'm watching. Keeping it simple, nothing too crazy. Not really seeing anything on the other charts that's like of much interest. Soul, obviously we haven't got this move here that we are kind of waiting for. Who knows if that comes or not. That would still be a juicy move, by the way. If Solana, even if it's going up here, if at some point it comes, sweeps these lows, I still would probably be interested in playing it back up to the range high. I just don't know if we're going to get it at the moment. I was expecting it first, and instead we're pushing up here. So, but that's pretty much what I'm watching. Mainly watching BTC. Because I think this is going to set the tone for everything else. So, but yeah, we're watching. Want to see what happens here above that high.
Beautiful, beautiful. I see a bunch of comments as well from the community members joining in. Thank you so much, everyone, for retweeting, for liking, for leaving comments on the page. We want to get as many people up here as we can. Enrique says, I'm 50x short, little gamble. Carl, happy FOMO Friday. Life, like this meeting. Carl has reposted. Repost the best line drawers on X. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate that. And yeah, there's definitely a nice little bear flag. But yeah, thank you, Bits. Really great. Anything else that you want to cover before we bring in Nat, who has her charts up as well?
No, look, I think we got a full panel today, so I'll pass it off. We got plenty of other people that are going to be sharing. I'll chime in if the conversation gets fun or it's a topic that I feel like I can add to. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Net, take it away. Would love to hear also your take on any liquidity levels that you're watching.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me, man. These FOMO Fridays have been amazing. I know last time we were on, we were talking about um BTC and certain levels, and we were talking about copper and a few other stuff. So I just kind of just want to give a rundown as to, the updates on these charts, because it's always good so that the audience can go back and back test and see where these level are, where the levels currently are, right? So the main one I think for right now is BTC. This weekly, I think Bits really did a good job breaking it down. It is literally, it hit the top line of the resistance level right here. So I could definitely see the individual that got in and at a 50x short. This was a perfect entry right here, because I think if we don't reclaim this area, the run can be very much over. But if we do go ahead and reclaim, I think when we first started this stream, Lady Trader, I was kind of looking at this EMA right here, but it has since come down. So now which was at 84. So now this EMA that we're looking at, if we're able to break above that resistance, it's at 82,701. Let's call it 83. I could see us running up to like 83 before giving the next leg down. I think for me, this is a very key area, a break above this EMA, and I think the possibilities for higher becomes greater. But I think I mentioned last time, let's say even if we do go ahead and tag this EMA, it is still a lower high, right? What is this, 96? This is a scenario that I asked William last week if he could see the possibility of us going up to 96 and then before nuking all the way down. I am completely open to something like that happening, but before we even get there or get higher, this is a key area that we do need to break before any of the possibilities to the upside begin. And I know everyone's looking at that 80K, and I mentioned in the 80K area, and I've mentioned it before on multiple spaces. Right, my concern, and this is one thing that I've been telling my community, right? Because my concern with that 80K area is that everyone is waiting for that area to go short, right? So I can
Yep.
see a scenario in which this run is completely over and that was it, or we squeeze out the shorts and we go a little bit higher, right? But
Hmm.
let's look at where the liquidity is. Yesterday, we were on the space. It was mentioning there was a big buildup of liquidity at 75,900 and change. We grabbed that with some force and completely broke through it. So let's take a look at where that liquidity is, or any updates to the liquidity. Just give me 1 second. Let me just share that screen, guys. So far, following the liquidity, at least knowing where the liquidity is, hasn't been too bad. 1 second, let's bring it up. Okay.
But that liquidity
Can
is
you guys
hard
see
to
the screen?
grab and pull up on the stage, right? It's so liquid, it just slips right through your fingers.
It just slips right through the fingers. Can you guys see it? Can you guys see
Yes.
the screen? Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So we had this liquidity that was building up yesterday, and we kind of got to it, and it hit resist. This is why last time I mentioned the liquidity levels are good to know where they are, right? But the disclaimer was don't trade them by themselves. Use your chart, right? Because we saw how it just hit that big resistance that we saw on the weekly, and we've been getting a crazy pullback right now. So there's still a little bit of liquidity, but to be honest, it is nothing too alarming. This is 22, 21. Where the very interesting stuff is starting to happen is look at all of the liquidity building up below. Right, this is very interesting. This is why, for me, even if we do go a little bit higher, I think overall we're just gonna come right back down. Nothing to still, it is still building, right? So this is what I mean when it's building, and I think we covered it last time. It's nothing too alarming. It's not in the 80 million, 90 million that we want to see. I think yesterday the liquidity was up 80 million, and we went to it, right? This one had some slight buildup. This is 73, it's 675, 54 million. Let's see over here, 51 million, 22 million. So overall, it is still building. So I can see a scenario in which we go ahead and reclaim and head towards close to that 80K before nuking. or heading down, but this is building still. This is 68, 69, 827. What is this? Let's see. This is 69 as well, 38 million. So there's a lot building to the bottom. This area right here, this is 62. This is what I was talking about. Last time we were on the stream, I believe this was at 32 million. It's at 37 now. So it's slightly building, and there's a lot building to the downside as we can see, right? But again, it is building, so it's not 100% ready yet. Once it's ready, I think we've seen time and time again how we just go ahead and grab it. Right now there's a little bit at 68 500, but again it's in the 30s, which is very interesting, right? This is 78 300. We grabbed some of that earlier. So this is basically what I'm looking at. This is the 80K range that I was looking at as well, 24 million. So nothing too alarming to the upside. There's definitely a lot building to the downside. So I think wherever, if the top was in or if this was it, that's a possible scenario for me as well. Although I would like to see us for confirmation, just try to go at it just one more time before completely just rolling over. And I think we shared Kiyotaka last time as well, Lady Trader, where we saw there's just a lot of liquidity just
Mm-hmm.
building up at the bottom, right? And that's at spot and on the perp side as well. So far, not much happening on the liquidity end. I think we got a big chunk of it yesterday to the upside, or even with this move to the upside, there's still a little bit here. Um, and then a lot of it is just building at the bottom. So in a perfect world, what I would like to see is a retest of that 78K on that weekly and see if we're able to break above it before the week closes. But besides that, I'm not in any perp position. I mentioned earlier today, I really don't want to front run any of the moves, so I need to see a little more confirmation on whether we could on whether the top is in and that's it, no more revisiting, or if there is a chance for higher, and that would be on that retest of that big resistance zone. Because if we do retest that zone and we start seeing breaks or the weekly closes above that resistance that we saw on the weekly chart, I think the door is open to that 83. If not, then I think we'll just slowly grab the liquidity that's building to the downside because it's all the way down. There's a little bit right here at 60K. What is it? 24. Still building. But
Mm-hmm.
let's see. I think Bits did a great job just breaking down different scenarios, and I agree. I think first stop, let's see what we do with the retest. If retest and we break above the weekly closes above it, then I think the door is open for 80K. If not, then we will be definitely getting into some short positions because then at that point, I really do believe we're gonna grab the liquidity that's been building at the bottom.
Yeah.
With
Great
the other,
takes. Oh,
thank
go ahead,
you.
Serena.
It's okay. The other chart that I wanted to pull up is that oil chart because we've been talking about it for some
Yes.
time, and I think it's beautiful. I think maybe it's just me, but I think it's beautiful to see how it plays out, and I think it's very important. It speaks to patience, right? It speaks to how patient you have to be if you want certain trades to play out in your favor. Because we've been talking about U.S. oil and that level for pretty, what was it, like 2 3 weeks, right? That
Yep.
DMA,
Yep.
that
It's been a while.
breakdown. Yep. Yep. So let's pull it up now and just see where we're at with it. Just give me 1 second. Let me share my screen.
Breaking news, by the way, Trader Steve is now opening short positions.
I wonder if
Oh,
I who has a better short position because I also shorted at 77,843. So
Yeah.
there
we'll
you go.
see.
That's a nice entry. That's a very nice
Yeah,
entry.
Yeah.
it's a
All right. Can
yeah
you
foot
guys?
soldier. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let
So
me
if
see.
we
Bring
we
up.
do get that retest, yeah. If we do get that
There
retest,
we go.
I will join you and reject. Yeah, I will join you in the short. All right. So oil. This is one we have been talking for some time. We said we were going. I got into a short on that big drop twice now. The first one was a, what was it, like last weekend? Two, I can't even remember. It was a beautiful pullback that we got, and then we it bounced a little bit. And I think last time we were on the stream, it was like tagging between these two areas, and I said, you know what, I'm not in anything right now because it was like right in the middle. I needed to confirm for either side, and it did confirm for us. A few days ago we were able to scalp along, but then last night it kind of confirmed for us that it wanted to go lower. But overall, we were looking at this for a while now. We look at how beautiful, beautiful move that we got. It literally landed right on that EMA that we were talking about, right? It literally wicked off of it, and I think that's beautiful, beautiful to see, right? So we spoke about the what this move would mean for the broader market, and we're absolutely seeing it now with market ripping, right? This is not the first time. On the initial pullback in oil, we saw a little bit of it, right? We saw equities give us a little pump, and then we saw BTC give us a little pump. And now with this move towards the EMA, which we were looking at weeks in advance, right? Look at how look at how it correlated or coincided,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, to the pump in equities and to the pump in BTC. Granted, this doesn't mean that we're out of the woods for oil, right? I think you and I, we
Mm-mm.
were kind of just looking at the same thing. We were looking at the pullback for potential entry. Here's my thesis on this, right? If we look at the short-term time frame, I believe it's the yeah, the 4 hour, we're slightly oversold, right? Now history doesn't
Mm-hmm.
always repeat itself, right? Let's say this doesn't happen, but I think it's also important to know, right? Last time we were oversold, it can go lower. Not saying it cannot go lower, it could absolutely go lower. But last time we hit oversold territory on oil on the 4 hour, we went higher, right? Not right away, but we started this move higher, right? Which would coincide with higher oil prices. I don't know if whatever news is going to come out, no idea. The other thing is too, we're coming up on some big resistance as well. I can see a retest of this level and then a nuke back down. But
Mm-hmm.
it's certainly, oil is certainly getting very, very interesting, right? And I think if oil does give us another move to the upside, it'll coincide with BTC rolling over and the equity top being in, or a local top on the equity side being in, which would make things a lot interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So last time, the other thing I wanted to touch on, I wanted to touch on copper, because we touched on BTC going higher, the possibility of BTC going higher. We touched on the possibility of oil giving us that move to the downside. So we got those two moves, and then we also got the move that we were looking at in copper. Look at that. Let me bring up the weekly. The weekly is the one that we were looking at
Beautiful.
last time. Yeah,
Yep.
beautiful, beautiful move. This is a move that my community got into. This is, look at that. I mean, we
Incredible.
played CPER. Yeah, we played CPER on the equity side, and that is a United States copper fund. So we were able to get into some calls there and take some nice profit. Here is where everything would get interesting, right? So if we see a move to the upside in oil, I think copper will give us a pullback, silver will give us a pullback, and gold will give us a pullback, which would coincide with this resistance right here. Let's say, for example,
Mm-hmm.
we do get that 621 and we start pulling back. I could see it correlating or coinciding with oil moving higher, right? So this is one play that we made money on. We made money on shorting oil, and we made money on the move up with BTC, even though we did scalp a short a few days ago to 73,500. That we made money on that move as well. So now I think, and this is the last chart I will pull up. This is one play that I shared with my community, because the risk to reward ratio when we got in was amazing. So, and this is Weeble, right? I know
Mm-hmm.
Bad Price, he got an amazing entry, another amazing entry with Robin Hood, but Weeble is also a trading company, right? And
Mm-hmm.
recently we had the news that came out. prior to this news, you had to have 25,000 minimum in order for you to day trade. This rule has now been removed. That is no longer the case. Robinhood and Bull put out a statement. Bull actually put out a statement on X as well, saying that they will remove that immediately and open the doors so everyone can trade. But we positioned ourselves even before the news, right? And it's always beautiful to see the charts telling us, and we've seen it time and time again, right? The chart always tells us what's going to happen before we actually see. We don't know what the news is going to be, but we know what the movement is going to be. So this was the one that I mentioned on Space, I believe last week, that I said, guys, I'm going heavy on because I saw this giving us some kind of a support here on the weekly. We were able to go in heavy below 5 price per share, and look at this move now, right? Our calls are up over 100% on this one candle. But I think the upside for can it come up to this level to 687 and absolutely reject and revisit 550? Absolutely, it absolutely can. But I think the risk to reward, we're still in the bottom of the range. Look at all the upside, right? Look at, this is in line with Robinhood, in line with Schwab. Look at where those are and look at where this is. I think there's some potential there. So the reason why I'm mentioning this chart is because I mentioned this to my community. I mentioned it on Spaces that we were going heavy on display when it at $5, and I figured we'll mention it on the stream as well, right? Because we're seeing time and time again, like certain things that we mentioned for education purposes, sometimes they do play out, and our communities are able to take advantage of some of these plays. So I figured this was a nice one to share. So now what I'm looking at is that 687 area. Do we get to it and then we revisit 550 and then give us another leg up? That's what I'm looking at. But overall, I think the risk to reward and the potential in this one, it's there.
Mhm. Love it, Nat. And that was a good one to bring up as well, because I remember we were talking about Hood and some of the others, but nobody really
Yes.
saw that rule coming up. And I'm so excited, and really, I think it's a big opportunity that now you don't have those day trading restrictions. It used to frustrate me when I was in college. This was over a decade ago, and I remember how frustrating it was because I couldn't day trade, right? I didn't have $25,000 in my account, so I couldn't day trade back then. And that was like, that was very, very difficult because you could only take so many trades in
Yes.
a day, like, or in a week. It was like three trades a week or something
3 in a
like that.
week. Yes, 3 in a
It's
week.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's 3 every 5 days.
three every five
Yep.
days. Yeah, which is like,
Yeah, and
yeah.
you get flagged otherwise, but you get 3 flag removals. I was in the same boat back in the day. I remember those days where it's like, oh god, how many day trades do I have? I don't care. I'm getting out of this position. I got in earlier. I got 2 flag removals left. I'll hit them up and
Yeah,
use a
Mhm.
flag
exactly.
removal.
Yeah.
I think that me personally, I think this is a great thing for people who are disciplined, but for the majority of people out there, I think this is a terrible idea. Like, if I'm
Yeah,
being
You think
yeah,
completely
they're gonna
honest,
get wrecked?
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
man.
because
I
they're
think
going
I
to
100%.
think
get wrecked, brother. Like,
yeah,
wrecked.
possibly, but look, man, they got to learn their own lessons. And because I
Exactly.
remember back then, like how frustrating it was. And I was like, what? This is supposed to be for our protection? Like, they do nothing to protect retail, really.
It
You know
does
what I'm
not.
saying?
Yeah, it does
Like, come
not.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I see what you're saying. But look, man,
We're
there's
gonna be people on the timeline
tuition to
going like,
pay.
yeah, I just yeeted all my money at zero DTE SPX plays, and it's all gone now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely, there's some opportunity there. You just have to be disciplined. Ned, I do have a question before we bring in other speakers. So you were actually, when you were looking at BTC chart, you were showing the weekly chart. There was an EMA. I am very, very interested in that EMA because it seems like it nailed it.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing which
Yes.
one it was?
Yeah. Let's bring it up again. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes, yes. That one, the red one, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, the red one. I gotta look at it because I can't take from the top of my head. The red one here, that is no, no, let's see. This is a closing average. Let's bring it up and see right here. That's a 50. The 20, I'm
50
sorry,
on
the 20 EMA. The 20 EMA.
Okay. So you're using 20. Okay, because I have
Yep.
21. I don't have 20. And 21 is going to be at 78.8, which is what I was hoping that it would hit. But you have 20 and
Yeah.
that hit.
Yeah, I
So
have
it has
20.
missed mine
Yes.
before. I think I should probably change mine from 21 to 20. That's probably what I
Yeah.
would do, because this is absolutely incredible. I mean, it did that even the previous run. If you look at it, like the previous
Yeah.
high, it did hit. You see that? Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep.
yep. So that seems like 20 EMA is the way to go, guys. Watch out for that one. I mean, this could very well have been the top. Uh, so we'll
Yeah.
see. I mean, this has some key levels up there, right? Key levels. There's a yearly fib. We'll look into that here shortly. But yeah, this is an awesome level to short. So we'll see if this short position works out, how it plays out. If it goes higher, I'm okay with it. I'll just have to position myself bigger if it goes higher. But yeah, this looks pretty awesome. Thank you, Nat, for sharing that. I was very
Absolutely.
curious. All right, I see Kelvin. You have your chart up. You want to go next?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Yeah, so Nat and I are on the same wavelength. I was absolutely
Wow. And we both have light backgrounds. Look at
yeah,
us,
so
man.
pretty, so pretty. So I absolutely see this rejection right at the 20. So as traders, we have to take our gamble, right? So you have to shoot your shot, if you if that's the young kids say. And so I'm about as short as I can possibly stand at this point, because there is just so much confluence leading into a pretty strong short. So this line I've shown a couple of FOMO Fridays in a row, and this is essentially just seeing how our momentum is. So if the momentum continues down this line, then our bear market is trending just exactly right on schedule. If we start seeing closes above this line, that means our bear market is starting to weaken. If we didn't touch this line at all, which was kind of the concern back here, then our bear market was getting more aggressive. Like we were about to go into more of a selling climax. Well, so this week is not yet over. So this has, we got 2 days and 7 hours to kind of determine what happens here. If we do close above here, that means that we're starting to chill out a little bit. I still think we're going to sweep these lows no matter what. But that does mean that that some of the teeth of our bear market may be not as sharp as we thought it was. This is my analysis on this, and I've talked about this before. This wick right here is created a gap between our wick, essentially our swing low right here. And so this gap means, hey, we're starting a fresh trend, and the momentum's so strong that any retracements are not being passed off. There's no handoff between support and resistance right here. Well, this was at just above 80,000. This line here is the handoff point. And usually in the middle of a market that's trended, kind of after we've had the initial impulse, the mature mid section of the bear market, there would be a handoff right here. And so there is a very decent chance that we fill this gap here. But as was just previously stated, I think so many people are watching this section here that, and I think it was Nat that said it, either we're just short of this, or we wick above it pretty aggressively and then reject. But the point is that the rejection is here. Like this is a very, very, very strong resistance right in this area. So weathering whatever storm we may have to the upside, as long as it's properly weathered, I think there's a lot of downside just right around the corner. So this is where I'm placing my chips on the table. This is where I'm getting as short as I can possibly do it, within reason and safety. But I think there's a pretty strong case that we reject here and start moving. So I'm already in the majority of my shorts. I have room to run in case we get up to 80 or 81. But
Yeah.
we're definitely, I'm looking at this thing like we're gonna melt down. One other thing I'm gonna add to my own just commentary here is that our bear market will most likely end under the 50-month moving average. So whatever activity we have, and even if, let's say, on the monthly we ended up trying to attempt the 9 or the 20-month, those numbers are in the 80s. But I don't see us doing much unless we hit the candle body here at like 83 or 82, something like that. So there's resistance on the monthly right here at 82. We're about as high as we can get, without, trying to, you don't want to miss it. You know what I mean? So I'm happy to be in my shorts right now. We just had the 9 and the 20 cross on the monthly. And if we sweep these lows, where the accumulation starts coming into play is down under the 50 and above the 100. I'm betting it's very, very strong possibility that we tap the 100 at the bottom of our bear market. So don't get too excited about 77,000. I think there's a lot of room for melting down. And this is the accumulation zone is down in this area right here on the monthly. One final comment is just that on the daily, this was essentially a breakout from the 100-day moving average. And this may give us the strength to tap our resistance or our support back here at 80,000. And if we can make that flip and turn back around, then that would probably be perfection on the macro charts. So that's kind of what I'm looking at.
This is awesome. Love it. Love it, Alvin. Anything else you want to add before we bring up other speakers?
Nope, that's pretty much everything that's fun, informing my trade decisions right now.
Love it, love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Also, like, your analysis about the potential of BTC tapping that 80K. Love that take as well. I'm actually gonna go ahead and bring up my charts because why not? I'm gonna talk about some of the trades that I've taken, and we'll see. So give me 1 second as I bring up my charts. Mm, okay. I'm gonna remove Kelvin and I'm gonna bring up mine. Okay. So first of all, few things happening here, right? So I talked about this level here during last FOMO Friday, and there is a major, major level here. There is a yearly fib, which is right around 78, a little over 78K. And then we also have 4-hour 800 EMA. This is a major area of resistance. And we've seen what happened previously when it tapped. Basically, just tapped, and then there was a major rejection off of that. So there is going to be some rejection here. That's what I'm anticipating, right? Some sort of a rejection here. And so we'll see if this is already it. I have a short position right now, but even if it goes a little bit higher than my short entry, which was around 77.8 something, I'm okay with it. I'll just have to position myself accordingly. It could go as high as 85K for all I care at this point, right? But I'm gonna be building up short position at these areas, especially as we get close to the end of the month, because that's when things are gonna get very interesting, right? I don't see May being a green month. We are going to have two back-to-back green months. I think the third month is going to be most likely a red month, or at least going to be closing under April high, maybe. So this is it. I was in a long position. So when I went to sleep, this was actually a pattern that I was watching, and I was like, okay, this is probably gonna be, going to pump here. Maybe I should myself long here. The only reason why I was not too interested was because there was no retest of that 13 EMA, which I like to see. That was not the case. So I basically just went to sleep with a long position, and my long position, my long breakout was set right about this area right here. So I was hoping that I would catch that move whenever it was open, and my stop loss was under here. So it was not all the way down here. Did not want to take that big of a risk, of course. But I had my stop loss here, my entry here. And normally in that case, whenever there's a breakout, for this one, I was very confident that we're going to hit 78K. I mean, we've been talking about it, right? You guys knew this was a level I talked about in my community quite a bit, that we are watching this. This is going to be hitting. Quite a few of you were actually long. There was one person, Cypher, I believe you were long from 67K or 65K or something like that. So that was a very good long position, and you held it through, and you took profit today. So big congratulations on that trade. But this one, I was pretty confident that it was going to hit that 78K. But normally what I would do is I would set these with 1 to 1. So if this was my stop loss, the take profit would have been somewhere around here, right? And as you can see, these breakout trades do hit your 1 to 1, and then they retrace pretty quickly as well. So usually I would set these and forget about it, and it will hit my take profit. You've seen some of these. I've been sharing it in my Telegram community quite a bit as well. They have a very high win rate. I don't think we've had any breakout trade that went into a loss yet. So it's been pretty much all 100% win rate. But you have to be cautious. Like, you have to set your take profit as well. You can't just be like, all right, breakout trade, yay, and then no take profit set, and then it's not going to hit. So today was something that was an exception that I made, where I did not set a take profit because I was very confident that it was going to hit that 78K level, and that's where I took profit. And I did share it in the group where I took profit. So these breakout trades are definitely, they are a money printer, but you have to be very disciplined. You have to know your levels, right? Like this could have been an also a breakout level. This could have been also a breakout level. Why did I not take those? We'll have to cover it at some point, right? So you have to understand which breakout levels to trade. But when you do trade, they're gonna hit, and maybe you'll take a few trades a week, right? Maybe not every single day you're gonna take a trade, but when they do hit, they are really awesome trades to take. So that's basically what I had. Now this level, again, like I said, very interested in taking a short. I did take a short already at 77.8, something like a little bit above this, right? So right here. And I am obviously targeting this 50 EMA as my first take profit. It's probably going to go under that, but we'll see how this one plays out. Is it going to be a forever short? I don't know at this point. We are still April 17th. You heard what Kelvin was talking about, right? Potentially hitting that 80K. That's always potential there. Also, I'm watching weekly. Now, I did change this from 21 to 20 EMA just because I saw how beautifully it rejected, and it has beautifully rejected prior as well right here. So I've converted 21 EMA to 20 EMA after talking to NatNet earlier today, and you heard that conversation. But we also have 20 EMA a little bit higher, so maybe we could get that a little bit up. I think it was 78.8. So I'll be watching to see how this plays out. Right, aggressively taking profit seems to be the strategy that's working beautifully. So definitely keep an eye on that one. But yeah, watching it right now carefully, um, looking at this trade that I'm in, and hoping that we get some downside here. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But look at the 4 hour as well. I mean, it's a beautiful rejection off of this level so far, and it's playing out. We still have a couple of hours to go. 4 hour close is going to be pretty interesting. A lot of times price would reject like this, go down a little bit, and then maybe go back up again, hit the stops of anyone who shorted, right? Of course, my stop is at around 85K. Like this, I'm a big room to actually breach, right? Actually above 85K. So And again, if it does go up, I'm going to be managing it, right? If I don't like the pattern, I can get out, I can re-enter. Managing the trade is something that is also important. But this is definitely a good level to watch and start to kind of position ourselves for those short opportunities for the incoming months. Going into the weekend, of course, I'm watching what's happening in Middle East. I cannot emphasize enough on how much you should be paying attention to the actions, not just the sentiments, not just the narratives, not just the thoughts and the comments that are out there, whether it's from the politicians or whoever. Look at the actions, right? Of course, we are hearing a lot of bullish news, which is pumping up the stock market already. We were sitting at all-time highs. Um, and the narrative right now is everything is great. We are now talking about the peace treaties and ceasefire and all of those great things. Well, that's awesome, but at the same time, we are now requesting 20,000 additional troops to go to Middle East. If there is peace, then why is that happening? So you got to look at the actions a little bit, right? So things are probably going to get ugly over the next few months. I hope it doesn't, right? We all hope and pray for peace, but things are not looking good, and that's going to be impacting the global economy. So you should be positioning yourself in a way that makes sense to you with your trading plan and everything, and keeping an eye on what's happening. That's important. Not just I'm gonna one of these days sit down and create a list of different news sources that I'm looking at, right? I'm not going to be just tying myself to Fox News or MSNBC or CNN or whatever. Like I want to be looking at a lot of different media outlets, not just the mainstream, but also quite a few others, including the Russian media channels, including the Chinese media channels, including the Iranian. You got to look at everybody and see what everyone is talking about, right? Not just the US media, so that you can position yourself correctly, so that you understand what is happening in the world, right? Not just one narrative, but multiple narratives, and then come to your own conclusion on what makes sense. Looking at the numbers, looking at the data points, looking at satellite images, whatever that may be, whatever your data points may be, and then you come to a conclusion, right? So that's super important to understand, especially if you're trading the markets heavily. You need to understand what's happening. So right now, everything is looking great on the paper, right? We are sitting at all-time highs. Bitcoin is pumping, but is that going to be the case 2 months from now? And so you need to prepare accordingly, right? And so that's important to understand. So I'll be creating a list of different news outlets, different sources that I'm looking at, and we'll post it on my X probably sometime next week, so you guys can look at it to see how I'm doing my research on the current geopolitical stuff that's happening. And it doesn't matter what side you're on. It doesn't matter. Like if you're a trader, you got to know what's happening, and you got to do a nice enough research, right? And not leave out any loose ends. Make sure that you are paying attention to everything, whatever everybody's saying, not just one person, not just one leader, but what the whole world is saying, where the EU is going, right? Um, and so we've even talked about, I think it was Bat Price who was talking about positioning himself into some of the defense companies in Europe, especially if there was something happening with NATO. There are a lot of people that are looking into that. So these are opportunities, right? So you need to find those opportunities where they arise, and you have to be paying attention to that. So those are important things. But yeah, that's really all. Nothing has changed for me overall. 80 to 64K is the range that I identified first week of February. We are still in that range, so nothing has changed. I am anticipating, of course, lower moves until the end of the month or until the end of the year, right? We are going to continue to crash. Any bounces we see between now and then are going to be just corrections. That's it. Nothing in it. So unless we start to obviously go to 126K and create a new all-time high, then I'll be the first one to say, well, the 4-year cycle are dead. We are now creating a new all-time high, and who knows where that leads. But that's not going to be the case. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. Always, always, always be mindful of this, guys. The 12-month hammer. This one was bad, and usually this kind of pattern, I've said it several times, that it could definitely throw you into a multi-year correction. So be mindful of that. I just hope it gets over very soon, but I would not put anything past that. This is a bad pattern. So overall, there is really nothing to celebrate. There is nothing to be happy about when we see these short pumps. So be ready for what's coming up, and we'll see how everything plays out. That's all really I have for today. Robert is back. Bits of wealth. Yes, my friend. I see that you dropped off the stage, so I'm adding you back here. All right. So we'll go ahead and pass the mic on. It seems like, William, you have your screen up. You want to go ahead and share it?
Sure. Yeah. So before I do, wonderful analysis there, guys. Thus far, it's going to sound very similar to what I was saying. I found this funny post from some of the Wolf Trading peeps, some of our friends across the pond that do the live trading sessions. I just want to share this really fast. I thought this was hilarious. The stock market so far in 2026, and it's just a straight up Hormuz. So with the chart.
Wow.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, so I
That's
saw
awesome.
that and I was like, I just had to see this. This is just, oh my god, this is so beautiful. So kudos to them. I thought that was funny. Anyways, gonna share our charts here. Let me just close that. There's a weekly Ichimoku on Bitcoin. It's gonna sound very similar to what you guys were talking about, of course. So for instance, we had this 200 EMA here, sitting at, I believe that's at 68,000 right there. I had a clean bounce off of that. We kind of held that position there, wicked below it briefly, but now we're holding on for dear life with it. So we kind of expected this to happen, of course. There's a lot of this room right here now where Bitcoin could run in this area here, like all up in this clear area before the cloud. So we have we're at 77,000, I would say 88, 90,000 here, like even on this line right here, 100K. Anywhere in these zones right here on the weekly is kind of where Bitcoin could run up on this momentum it's building. But I swiftly expect that we're going to get knocked down at some point from that moment. We have a lot of this bearish momentum building up on the weekly for Bitcoin, as we've talked about before. So I'll zoom into the daily now, because the daily is actually really, really awesome. I actually took a long on Bitcoin today, as well as the NASDAQ, and made a good chunk of money. And the reason I did that was because of the daily chart on Bitcoin, guys. We closed. Look at this. We had this green candle. I cannot draw today. Jesus. We had this green candle close outside of the cloud. And that is a bullish indicator for Ichimoku. So I went ahead and went long. That was around 74K. And so we wicked up to about, 77,300 now. I've since been out. I've since taken profits off the table and raised my trailing stop. So now we're just chilling in a long on Bitcoin. Granted, it's not a massive long. I still have my spot bags elsewhere, but I did do some leverage trading on this. Something to keep in mind with this, though, is that obviously we have the conversion line, the baseline out of the cloud, which is hunky dory. It's all great. But two things I'm still concerned about on this chart, or three things I should say. One, we have this guy here, the lagging span. He's still not out of the cloud, which with Ichimoku, if you want a true bullish confirmation, you're going to need the lagging span, this little guy here, this yellow line, out of the cloud. You're going to need the conversion line, the baseline cross the way they are, and you need price action on the top side of the cloud there. And so we only have two of those things right now, or sorry, three, because we have the cloud right there. And so, the lagging span needs to get out of this cloud here in order to kind of confirm we're going to keep going up. We have this massive flat region here of the cloud indicating a very strong resistance. I believe that's sitting at 79, 80K. Yeah, it's about 79,000. So there's a very strong resistance there. I suspect if we break that, which I think we could run up anywhere in this area to the 200 EMA, which is sitting about 83K. Like we talked about with the weekly, there's this kind of this gray area with Bitcoin where if we pump out of these zones, like you guys talked about as well, we could easily have like a massive run up anywhere from 83, like right there, to 88 to even 90 in some cases. You have a lot of obviously resistance up here as well, 96, 97 region as well. So I honestly think we could see some really bullish momentum here, but that weekly is what makes me really scared about where Bitcoin is on the long side. It's why I'm not actually allocating any more to my longs on my spot bag still. I want to see us break out of this bad boy right here. That's when I'll get long, guys. That's when I will get long. If we break out of this cloud, I will get extremely long on Bitcoin and flip everything I've said up until now. If we can hold above and break out of even like 100K, I would say right here and hold. That's when I'll get long on Bitcoin for the long haul, of course, the next, quote, bull run. But that's my analysis on Bitcoin. Again, it's going to sound very similar to what you guys said. I know all of our different analyses using our different indicators kind of lead to the same conclusion, which I do love because it kind of emboldens our theses altogether, which is pretty nice. But that's all I have for right now. I'll throw it to Bad Price, I guess, if he wants to come up next, or back to you, Nat. Or sorry, back to you, ladies.
Thank you so much. Great takes there. Love it, William. Yeah, this is the best part about FOMO Fridays, that we all coming to the same conclusion at the same time, but using different indicators. And also, even if there are disagreements, there is always, it's a peaceful disagreement. It's we are able to look at each other's analysis and go, okay, what am I missing here? Why is he saying this? And so it's absolutely phenomenal. I do have a question from one of our attendees today, out of context. What about Netflix? Is anyone trading Netflix, Nat, or
I mean, I can
Price?
do a quick
Anybody?
Ichimoku on it here. I'll do a quick
Yeah,
Ichimoku
let's do
on it.
that.
Let me share my screen really fast. Here we go.
I haven't even looked at it in
I heard some bullish
forever.
stuff about Netflix came out today, right? Or was it bearish? I don't even know. The weekly chart looks, I mean, it doesn't look terrible, granted. Like we had that clean bounce at the 200 right there on
Hmm.
the Ichimoku here. But as you guys can see, the conversion line, this blue line, is still well below this red line here. These need to meet and cross. Obviously, we have these clouds here as well that we need to run up out of. And so I wouldn't be longing here necessarily. If anything, you could try to justify a short here, if I'm being honest. You could really try to justify a short with the stop loss, like somewhere maybe at the top of this wick in the cloud. And if you can kind of get this confirmation of a rejection coming down to the 200 week, the 200 EMA there. So honestly, on the weekly, not looking good, but I'll look at the daily really fast. Yeah, daily was really nice, actually. I hate when I
So
can't switch between these.
just so you guys are informed, the news was that they missed their earnings, and after hours yesterday they dropped 9%. That's why you see that big gap down right there.
Yeah, look at that. Well, it says revenue and net income rose. Results income included a one-time termination fee. Company kept full-year revenue outlook, but issued weaker Q2 margin. Okay, so yeah, they made less money. Got it. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. But yeah, they've since come up right here. They since, they had this a gap up, like you said, Calvin, and then yeah, ripped out of the cloud here. Daily looks really bullish for Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, sorry, Netflix. I could justify, I could have justified a long on this thing easily back here, or even like right at the 200 there, crossing there. And you would be in profit right now, which is really nice. But on the weekly, I wouldn't be long on this thing for very long. Let's just say that. I wouldn't be long for very long. That's my analysis on this. I don't know about you guys.
Love it. Thank you so much, William. Appreciate that. I see Price, you have your chart up, so we'll go ahead and add you to the stage. Take it away.
All right, what is up? Let's see.
Dude, I thought you'd be busy playing Arc Raiders or something, dude. You wouldn't be on this.
Yeah,
live stream.
bro. Look, I told you, you created a monster, bro. I like after we got done playing, it because of it, it moved me straight to like demon lobbies, bro. So
Nice, good. Yeah,
yeah.
We'll catch up. We'll catch up on it for sure. Get into your
Yeah, no
analysis. I don't
doubt.
want to throw you off.
All right, let's go. All right, so yeah, kind of like I like what everyone said. I like what William just said. Like, look, short term, like when I go down lower time frames, like let's just jump down to the 1 hour or something. I can see a pullback here, obviously, maybe down 75, something like that. But the momentum looks good. What I would kind of expect to see is this to start rounding off and make another kind of run back up. We got pretty deep up there though, so it's looking good. Let me check out the 4 hour. I shouldn't have jumped straight to 1 hour. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. A pullback I can definitely see. As far as like, are we going straight back down? I don't know, man. Like the 3-day still looks good to me, right? Like 3-day still looks good. 2-day still looks good. Daily is looking good. Like I even talked about this, I think the other day about like I was seeing momentum starting to round off, but I was telling Crank, I was like, yo, man, I think it's going to curve back up again, right? Because even though this momentum right here was kind of like rounding off, the money flow and the RSI was still running hot. And I was just like, look, if it rounds off right here, then it would be all bad. Like we'd be putting in a lower high on momentum, right? Um, but because of the money flow, because of the RSI, because of some of these other things I was seeing, I was like, you gotta, one thing about discretionary trading is knowing when to not trade your setup is exactly what I said. And, it came to fruition, right? Because according to my style, I should have been like, really taking a short up here. Right now, I did have a hedge short kind of on, but that's because I've been long from down here. But we're over the value area high, so I pretty much should be looking for a short. But just everything I was seeing in the indicators, I was like, nah, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass on that. I'm gonna just let my runners run. Like I've already taken profits twice on it. So just gonna let it run, and the small little hedge I had on, like if that gets stopped out, cool, not a big deal. My runner runs. That's exactly what's happened. And I don't know. I don't see it cooling off quite yet. I mean, pullback, yeah, but like just we're gonna bomb from here. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna bomb from here yet. I've been talking about kind of like this 80K area for a while now. One reason there's just a lot of confluence, up here, right? Like, uh, we have the CME gap. That's a big thing. This is go back to this. Sorry, it's kind of like where we broke down out of this previous range up here that we were in for a while. This is kind of where we broke down. Test of that structure just made sense. Also, every cycle, if you look back, we kind of see like when the bear starts, right? Like we make a leg down, form a range, consolidate, and we've always seen like that classic bull trap, right? Like short squeeze to bull trap, right? Because shorts kind of get greedy, you know what I mean? And of course, for whatever reason, I guess because they think it's gonna be a breakout. Whenever we see, something like how we saw down here, right? Back on what was it? The 24th of February. I remember seeing a ton of shorts just like jumping in down here. And it's like, okay, they think, we're gonna come back down and like fill the wick or something, or they think we're about to break out to the downside. And then they got trapped underwater. And obviously, we made that move back up. It gave us a little bit of gas to move back up. But yeah, overall, the shorts just kind of get greedy. The ones from the, shorted higher, still in their shorts, just sitting real comfy. And then you just see a bunch of like, newer traders kind of like ape in on shorts around the lows. And that has just pretty much always led to like that classic short squeeze, right? Short squeeze to bull trap. And we really haven't seen that yet. We haven't really seen that short squeeze to bull trap yet. And like, everyone's kind of happy today. We've been in this range forever, which is funny too, because I remember back, it was on a Friday when we kind of put in this low here. And we came on FOMO Fridays and we're like, okay, look, we're probably going to start forming a range, right? Like this is probably like a local low. Next thing you should be looking for is a range to form, right? And that's what happened. It played out. I think, time-wise, we were starting to get long in the tooth. I think it felt a lot longer than it actually was just because of all the macro geopolitical things going on in the world. I think it just made it feel like we were in this range forever. So yeah, here we are, we're cracking the top of it. And it's like, okay, well, are we just going to hard reject here and then just bomb back down? Like maybe, maybe this was the trap, but I don't know. I would expect to be seeing more. We're so back. Ha ha ha, you sold. All of that kind of stuff to really start dominating the timeline.
Are you not seeing it already?
No, I'm saying like we're seeing some of it, but I think it's just like I said, because we've been in this range for so long and we're cracking the top side of it finally. And I think people are just happy to, see some like positive price action, right? I don't know if we're quite there yet. However, I think if we do make it up just a little bit higher, we're not talking about much more here, right? I think if we are able to just grind a little bit higher, I think we're going to see that, And like I said, there's a CME gap up there. There's the structure point. There's a weekly resistance zone. There's just a lot of confluence up here that kind of would make sense, that we kind of push it. Now where we crack it and, get up to like 85 and test this value area low or even like kind of higher, right? That I'm real doubtful on. But just us grinding, 4 or 5 grand higher, I think that's kind of in the cards. So it's like, okay, well, now what? If you're trading this, it's like, okay, what do I do? You know what I mean? Because what I'm seeing is, money flow looks good, right? Like this looks super flushed out down here. Like we were real deep. We're just now kind of crossing the zero line. Momentum hasn't really given me any signs yet that like, hey, this is it. Again, obviously keeping a close eye on it. RSI is running hot. If this thing starts rounding off and we don't break this previous high right here, so we put in a lower high, then yeah, I'd be like, oh, okay, like this might be it. But everything right now is kind of running hot. Everything right now is kind of pointed in the direction that you'd want to see your indicators kind of point. Again, when you start getting down to these lower time frames, 6 hour, 4 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour, it looks like, yeah, we're seeing a pullback. It looks like we, could go a bit lower. But as far as just us completely dumping, I'm going to need to see like some bearish divergences really start to form for me to be in that camp of like, okay, here we go. We're going back down, to grab that real low liquidity. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying that, it couldn't happen. I'm just not fully there yet. I just need to see this thing play out a bit more. Again, how do I play it though? Well, I'm already in a long, so I'm just going to let that do its thing until it either gets stopped out or until it gets stopped out. That's how I let my runners run, right? Is just either activate the trailing stop, which I have right now and kind of loose, or I could just, manually continue to move the stop higher and higher as we go. So I could start with a equally weighted hedge on it, right? Or another way I could do it, and if we go higher, I can add to it, right? So I can start layering in, right? That's one way to play it. Another way is I could start playing these lower time frames and start playing like scalp shorts, right? Like heavier sizing on scalp shorts. With the idea of it being a scalp. However, this happens all the time where a scalp can turn into a swing, right? So just like play a scalp short, okay, boom, take some profits, move the stop to break even, and just kind of like let it cook. Either it gets stopped out or it the scalp turns into a swing, and then just kind of rinse and repeat that if I get stopped out. So I think those are probably my two best options on how to play this. Like Bits kind of really has me questioning everything up here when he said breaking news, Trader Steve just entered a short, right? I mean, we got Crystal Ball now, you know, jumping in, right? So
I mean, he did say, and this is where it was interesting. Like Steve's usually pretty confident about stuff like this,
yeah,
and
exactly.
the way he worded this one though is what was interesting. He says, "So I'm entering some swing shorts finally. Early shorts are destroyed. Time to enter on everyone's stop loss. I'm watching you BTC and ETH." And then he says, "Let's try it. Let's try it." That's the part that got me. I was like,
Hmm.
Is he giving
Okay.
himself is he giving himself a way out there?
He
Is
might be giving himself away out because when Trader
Yeah.
Steve, I think you really did nail it last time. You kind of like described Steve's
Yeah.
his whole win rate is Steve either really knocks it out the park or he just completely whiffs.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's got a really good record of knocking them out the park though.
Oh.
However, what I've noticed is on those plays, he's like super confident. He's like, I'm telling you right here, guys, I am pounding the table. Like I'll have an I told you so. Like if you don't listen to me, you hate making money. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of attitude. Whenever you see Steve, like
He doesn't
talking
have
it
that
up
right
like
now.
that.
Yeah, he doesn't have it right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Not
that's the
yet.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So he might be early. And look, that's the whole thing too. Is I guess that's what I'm getting at. Is I've been talking about these levels for a minute now. Like honestly, since we were back here, since we were talking about like, look, wait for a range to form. I was like, look, it just makes sense that we could see a test around this 80K. I'm not saying dead on 80K. Could be 78.
Mhm.
It could be 83, 84, right? I'm just saying like in this zone up here, right? Like it just makes sense that we see a structure test up there. And that's definitely an area. Another thing is it is an area that I'm looking to short kind of heavy. So me layering in and being a little bit early on it, not a big deal. I don't mind sitting underwater on some trades for a while. Like I got no problem with it, right? Like that's one thing, especially, after you've been doing this for what seems like eternity. You kind of get numb inside and you learn to love the red. You know what I mean? And you also know when to and when not to kind of like second guess your analysis, right? So I have absolutely no problem starting to layer in, like you said, later putting in a foot soldier here. And if we go higher, a few grand, I'd average down, give me a bit better average entry price. And then if it goes up a bit more, do the same thing, right? So just kind of maybe, take little nibbles and just kind of maybe get heavier if price continues to roll higher. So I don't know. Like I definitely will make a decision here shortly, probably on what I'm going to do with it. But right now, I'm just kind of happy because, runners running. We're finally cracking out of this range right here. Higher time frames to me still kind of look good. Like I don't know, 2 week doesn't look bad, right? Yeah, weekly doesn't look that bad, right? So yeah, 3-day, 2-day, daily still, and also the hood trade, right? Like I jumped in hood down around $70, right? Off this support zone that I had. Which this support zone goes all the way back to June of 2025. So it's wild. Like whenever, you hear people like, oh, line drawers, all that, like, man. Like it's funny how these play
Lines
out
work.
from so far back.
Yeah.
Right. Like look at the SPX. Like I had this level from forever ago, again, August. Okay, so August of 2025, we came down and tested dead off of it, like dead off of it, right? Um, so it's like, okay, well, how does this continuously work out if it's all just voodoo or whatever? But yeah, so Hood, jumped in around 70. I thought I might be early on the move, right? Like I thought I was kind of way early, to tell you the truth. I thought this thing would chop around, for another month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about it on Spaces. I was like, look, if we go lower, I'm going to buy more. And that's what we did. When it moved down and test the structure right here, around like 66 and some change, I went in and bought a bunch more because I was like, if it goes any lower than that, my risk reward there was really good, because I was like, if it goes any lower than that, I'm just belling. I'm just out. I take the little loss and I move on to the next one. So I'm glad I did that. It gave me a better entry price, and then it just kind of like took off, right? And I didn't even know what was going on. Like, I forget, someone asked me on Spaces, like, hey, do you even know why, gapped up today, why it's moving like it is? I was like, I have no idea. Like, honestly, I haven't really checked. I don't know. All I know is the chart told me to do something and I did it. And then that's when I, heard about the day trading rule changes and stuff. So I was like, okay, well, that definitely explains it.
That was incredible.
So we have this gap up here. Will it get there? I don't know. Like, I'm starting again, RSI's running hot, momentum's still going. I'm just looking to see if this thing starts like rounding off, right? Lower time frame, 6 hour, 4 hours starting to round off some. That 2 hours a real sign right there. 1 hour's already showing like, hey, we're starting to print a lower high on the lower time frames. So yeah, a pullback, a fade, sure. If we don't get there, fine. I'm completely okay with it. I've already sold a bunch of the contracts. So right now, again, I just have a runner. I just have a runner left on this. I think I got like 5 contracts left or something on this thing. So not too much. But yeah, if this thing continues to run, that's great. If I get stopped out, also great. But yeah, the charts speak before news does yet again. So overall, that's where I'm at. I'm also keeping an eye on this Rave token. I think this is a really high risk, high reward short that I'm looking for. I'm just kind of chilling. I haven't made a play on it yet, not at all. But I am watching it because I think if this thing dumps, it's really going to dump like, what was it, Wednesday? We got a 30% move down, right? So even if you got in like halfway on that move on a decent short, you completely printed. But again, it's a high risk, high reward kind of play, and it's one that I wouldn't like really go too heavy on, right? Lower time frames, like I'm just looking for cracks. So what I'm looking for is a series of lower highs on momentum being printed, right? Which we're starting to see that as price continues to move higher, which we're also starting to see. And we're also seeing it as money flow is trending lower. So in my experience, that divergence, that's not sustainable. Like, you can't have dying out momentum, dying out money flow. Again, though, this is like, I really have to get down to like the 2 hour and under before you really start seeing it, right? Yeah, but you just cannot. And then the 1 hour obviously really paints the picture. Like, and this can last for a minute. Like, this has been going on. Money flow's kind of been trending down, and momentum has been printing lower highs for a while now. That's one reason why it's so dangerous, is this thing has a lot of hype behind it. And, they keep continuously are squeezing the shorts, that even though this is going on, Usually I never see it lasting like this long, right? Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's not sustainable. And I think the longer this kind of divergence plays out, it just means the harder this, when it does crack, when it does come down, the harder it's going to fall. So keeping an eye on it. And this is also kind of play where you can go real light, like light on high leverage, and like make really good money on it. And you don't have to be too predictive. Like you can just kind of chill and wait for some kind of confirmation, or just like some lower highs get printed, right? Some lower highs, some lower lows, all that, that downtrend. You can just wait and chill for that downtrend to really start forming and be like, okay, I'm going to start jumping in. And you should be all right, because that's just how these things tend to play out, is they go on these high runs, and then they just start grinding their way back down, right, all the way back to the basement. So just a degen play. That's my degen play. I love shorting stuff that I think's complete hype cycle trash. Like I love it, absolutely love it. So yeah, that's my hype cycle trash play right now. Just kind of keeping an eye on that. Other than that, just chilling. I'll pass the mic, but man, the traditional markets, bro, like it's unbelievable. This it refuses to have a real correction. Like, and it's due. It is definitely due for a real correction at some point.
I made a bag on the NASDAQ today. I made an absolute bag.
Look at this run we've been on. Like, it is just crazy. We got like, what was this, like 10% or something? Yeah, like 10%. What was the one here? Probably 20. Yeah, a 20%er. So I don't know, maybe a little higher. And then I'm looking for that for another like 20% correction on it, right? So yeah, man, this thing just is the market that will not die. It will not buck. But traditional markets pretty much are forever going to be going up and to the right as our currency gets systematically destroyed. So that's just kind of how it's set up to work.
I need to follow up with bad North Star to see what his take is, because I know he's been big on capital rotation. So I want to see if his analysis has changed at all with the recent new all-time highs on the
yeah, that's a good point.
U.S. market. Yeah, so I need to definitely see what he's talking about. Maybe jump on some of the spaces with him and everything. But yeah, great takes, their price. One thing I will mention though, if it wasn't for you guys, I probably wouldn't be saying 80K is a possibility, because I just don't see it stopping at 80K. Like if it was to go to 80, then we are talking 83 to 84 to maybe even a little bit higher, or maybe at least 84K, something like that. And so I do feel that the 78K, because of that major fib level, because of that major EMA, could be the top. I mean, we have to see how the 4-hour close, of course. We got to see how the weekly closes, how the daily closes, all of those things. But there is a possibility that this may hit, and that's the way it is, because a lot of people, like everybody's talking about 80K, 80K, 80K. It's exactly how it played out during the last consolidation phase.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point when so many people are talking about it. And yeah. Plus also my thing is like I especially don't mind to start building a position and layering in, even if I am like early on it, because I'm not in the camp that we're just off to new all-time highs and that's that, the lows in, all of that. So I've been waiting for an opportunity to be able to short higher, right? So this might be like the last opportunity of this bear cycle to short up here at these kind of prices.
Lady Trader,
so we'll see how it plays out.
I 100% agree with you, right? And I think that 80K area, and I told my community this, right? Be careful with that 80K area. We're going to like stop below it, which means we already hit that, or we're going to break above it. But I doubt everyone's gonna get that beautiful, perfect 80K entry. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. I think it's gonna miss it because you could see, like Nat, you could probably look at the liquidity levels. There isn't much up there anymore. And
Correct.
so there's
Correct.
that, right? There's not much liquidity, there's not much incentive. The only thing that I'm looking at right now is like silly M15 chart, right? Which may or may not be the case, but when it did reject that 78097, which was the fib level, it did not do a retest on that on M15, which is what I like to see. It did not do that on M5 either, which means that usually when that happens, the price makes its move to that area of interest once again and then rejects or creates a new high above that. And so I'm watching that, but I think so even if we go above to, like, 78.8, this could very well be it. I mean, so just be watching and seeing how it plays out. I mean, we could go a little bit higher here. H4, I think once it closes, it's going to give us a better perspective. But let's say if it does reject, I mean, the next level is pretty much that 63,186, which is your half percent, 50% crash from the yearly perspective, and your point zero five or 0.5 fib level. So that's pretty much where we are headed. If this was to hold. And I know people are getting very excited. Somebody just asked me, I hope you're bullish now. And I'm like, no, it's about to get crushed again very soon. I mean, it's doing
Yeah, I'm
exactly
looking
what we
for
talked
short
about, but
entries. Yep.
yeah, exactly. So
Even
adding to
even
the short.
even Joe C, Lady Trader, was bull posting today. I don't know if you saw that.
I have not. Joe has completely fell off my timeline for some reason. I don't know. I
So
guess XM or
here was what he said. He said 5 hours ago. He said,
uh-huh.
Once we clear 80K, we will fly back into the 90s before a new
You
all-time
see?
high on Bitcoin this year." Everyone's looking at that.
He's in the all-time high camp. Well, look, I will say this: if you want to see these higher prices on BTC, one of the first things is this weekly, resistance zone that we cracked. We tried cracking it back there, but we didn't close the week out over it. Right? We got rejected. Boom, came back down. I think all of us kind of saw that happening. You want to see price close above like that 73.5-ish kind of area on the weekly to invalidate that level and kind of set a new support. But so that would be one of the first things that I'd be looking at. That would be my main focus, is getting a weekly close over that zone. But yeah, I don't think we're off to a new all-time high or anything like that. We've built up
No.
a lot of resistance above us. So I don't know if we got the juice at all for anything like that. But we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see how it plays out.
Yep. All you have to do is just go back to the ABCs, the very, very basics of trading, the very basics of technical analysis. And you just look at the yearly chart and it tells you everything you need to know. You don't even need to look at anything else. It's telling you where it's headed, and that's what you need to stick to. I think it's as easy as that. So that's what I will say. But thanks, Price. Appreciate you for the great takes there. Love that. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic on to William for some final thoughts or takes, and also a question actually from Carl. And he was asking, what is the best setting for Ichimoku? I'm currently running 20, 60, 120, and 30. So if you can touch on that a little bit, William, and then of course, any final thoughts or comments from you, that would be great.
Yeah, honestly, I've run a lot of different setups for Ichimoku before. Like I've kind of gone through all like the most popular ones, and I can't even name them all because it's like all just a sequence of numbers. But I just find that the base version, like literally the starting version, just works really well for me. Like it's the 9, 26, 52, 26, like that. I don't really see a need to phase out of that. And also, I've really evolved my trading strategy as well. So, like, I use Ichimoku primarily for trend analysis to get like a broad view as to what an asset is doing, like Bitcoin or like the NASDAQ or you name it. It could be anything really. And I do take trades on Ichimoku still if I'm like doing maybe some longer term swing trades. But if I'm like scalping or something, I don't use Ichimoku. Like if I'm trading the Nasdaq or I'm doing a very quick trade, I use just like basic EMAs, VWAP, combined with some other stuff. But I do look at Ichimoku on those assets to again get a feel as to what's happening with the trend. But yeah, the base version of Ichimoku has worked really well for me, and I'm of the mindset if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We say that in the
Yep.
South. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, I just use base setup, just 9, 26, 52, 26. That's what I use.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I know Bits and Nad have to drop off here shortly, so we'll go ahead and pass the mic on to them to get some final thoughts or comments. Nad, go ahead, and then we'll get with Bits.
Yeah, this has been an amazing stream, guys. I think it really does speak volume in terms of how important the lines are. I know a lot of people don't believe in it, but I think I think we're proven time and time again how we see a lot of what's happening in the chart before the actual news comes out. What we saw with oil, what we saw with copper, what we saw just across the board in equities and how things are moving. So I guess one thing for me right now, what I'm looking at on BTC is to see if we get that retest of that level. I do think whenever we see a move like this, sometimes it just goes up and retest. I will say if there is no retest, my conviction for us going lower becomes greater. So that's really what I'm looking at. Obviously, it's going to come down to, like you said, Lady Trader, the daily close. I think it's key for me. And obviously, we have the weekly coming up in a couple of days. So that's really what I'm keeping my eye on here.
Love it. Thank you so much, Nad. Appreciate that take. Agree with you there. Bits, any final thoughts or comments from you?
I'm just waiting on Ran to bull post so that we can short everything. But no, look, I'm still patiently waiting right now. I look for I guess we'll find out. Hindsight is always 2020, but for what it's worth, I am in camp higher still right now. I just like I was in the zone above. So I'm very much prepared for a similar outcome here. But yeah, I currently am in camp run 80k, maybe do 80, 81, 82, maybe even as high as like 84, 85, something like that, and then absolute nuke. But we'll see. I'm happy to jump in if this thing starts rolling over here. I'll look for a way to play on some kind of bearish retest or on a structure shift or something, and I'll get set up for the move lower. And then I'm still, because I am still in team, send it to 80k and higher. I am still looking at some of these alts that I think could still put another leg up here before they correct. And I'm being pretty aggressive about TP1 and TP2. So TP1s I'm typically taking like 65 to 75% of the trade, and then TP2 I'm cutting probably another 60% of what's remaining, if not a little bit more. And then, but I am leaving runners. So on a lot of these, the runners sometimes do pretty dang well. So we'll see. I still got a whole list of a bunch of these that are in play, and we'll see if we can at least get some more TP1s this week before it kind of cools off a little bit. So, but that's where I'm at.
Yo, that trade management right there, I swear, like the majority of profitable traders do that. Like we have our stops, we have our TP1, and we have our TP2. TP1 with me, TP1 hits, I take like, I don't know, 25%, 35%, something like that off. TP2, yeah, then I move my stop, break even slightly above break even to account for any slippage. TP2, I take the vast majority of my trade off, and I leave those runners. 8 out of 10 times the runners get stopped out.
Yeah.
But when they run, they can run. And at the end of the year, when you're adding it all up, it's like, damn, those runners, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that recipe alone, if you're trading and you're not doing that simple trade management recipe, you should definitely start, because that's one thing I've noticed amongst profitable traders is we all kind of have, the same kind of style as far as managing our trade, taking profits, moving stops, all of that, and leaving runners to run. That's what I've been telling Crank. I'm like, Crank, even if you're just scalping, you should leave at least like a small runner just to like cook, because again, at the end of the year, man, when you
I think
add
some
them
of
up,
his
it makes a
some
huge
of
difference.
Crank's runners, man, could probably produce more than the original scalp with the size that guy
Yeah,
uses.
that happens a
Yeah.
lot. Yep.
I do that on my Nasdaq trades, on my MNQ trades. I'll just when I do my quick scalps, I'll do like TP1, TP2, and then I'll just let the rest of I usually like a contract or two to run. I did that today, and I made an extra $100 from it. So I was like, cool. I was risking I think 250 on the trade, made 750 in total thanks to runners. So
That's incredible. This is one thing that I would mention when Bits was talking about, Camp 80K. I could see that happening purely based on the stablecoin dominance. Like that's the only
Correct.
thing that would,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
the only thing. Yeah, the only thing, because I don't see Bitcoin itself doing that because of that major level at 78K. I think like if I was just looking at Bitcoin, I'd be like, hey, we're done. Like this was it. And so stablecoin dominance, when you look at it, that's a different story. Also, by the way,
Mhm.
a lot of times what's happening recently from what I've seen on Bitcoin is right after the US market closes, the stock market closes, you see a pump as well. So
Yeah.
we'll have to be watching for that today as well to see what's happening. And then, of course, going into the low liquidity sessions over the weekend, anything can happen. So just be cautious and be mindful and make sure that you are taking into consideration risk management as well as your trade management. So be mindful of that. I see a comment from Life. VIX can also be a strong indicator for what's coming. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
There was actually a time when I used to trade VIX exclusively, and then those times were awesome. So appreciate that you bringing it up.
And
we'll
the
take
arms
some
combined it with the
Uh-huh.
arms, VIX and the arms together. When you combine both of those together, it really helps. That's like one of the first things, like my mentor, who's one of the best options traders I've ever encountered to this day, taught me on like, look, what you see on that screen can like deceive you. Like it can be a really green day, but you look at the VIX and the arms, and it's painting it's telling you what's going on under the surface of the market. It's telling you how they're positioning, right? Like, are they hedging a lot? Are they actually getting off stuff? Are they selling into this pump and starting to go short? So just combining the arms with the VIX can definitely help paint that picture.
Yep, love that. Thank you so much, Bryce. Yeah, we'll get some final thoughts or comments from Kelvin. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, well, it's been a very fun stream and very informative. I appreciate the other traders and their expertise. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. I think we're pretty close to turning this ship around pretty soon here, and that's kind of where I've put my stuff in. But yeah, whenever bad price says that there could be a little bit more, that always makes my ears perk up. So that's interesting. I will I moved some funds back onto the exchange to give me an extra buffer just in case we do something weird. But on the whole, I'm pretty darn short and expecting that thing to print out on me. So
yeah,
I believe
love
you
that.
are like what 400 coins short or something.
Well, so I wasn't talking about my alt position, but boy, did I feel the surge the other day when alt started moving. There were a bunch of just no-namers that just went up like 100% and whatever. And I definitely saw it in the numbers. Like I was like, oh my, this is really a move.
Oh yeah, that makes you happy. You're like, okay.
Well,
all right,
I mean, I'm
let's
shorting everything, so that wasn't super great. But by now I've got a pretty good buffer built in. So but yeah, any kind of a bear market pump on alts, man, that's great opportunity. So my bots obviously took advantage of that and added to those shorts, and we'll see how that goes off when Bitcoin turns around.
Yeah, it'd be great to see how those play out. Bad price. Any final thoughts or comments from you?
Not too much. I'll just say one way I kind of see all this playing out as far as like, the geopolitics, macro, all that kind of lining up with TA. I could see like, weekend, low volume, continuation or maybe a slight pullback and then continuation or something. And then sometime like next week or something, like nope, no ceasefire, or it's just something like someone bombs someone, just something gets set off over there. Right. And then like we just kind of, nuke. So yeah.
I just hope that
Pardon
we
the
don't
pun,
like
but
nuke.
yeah.
Better not move, nuke.
Yeah, pardon the
We
pun,
don't
but you
nuke
know
it.
what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
I could just totally see, because as long as like, the missiles really aren't really flying, and we have this whole peace talk stuff, even though I think it's just complete,
yeah. I think it's just
fabrication
timing.
in a
I
way.
agree
Like as long
100%.
as we have a little bit of that, I think the markets are taking that opportunity to be like, okay, run. You know what I'm saying? But again, once you start seeing what, like, okay, they're starting to really sell into some of this price action and all of that stuff. Yeah, I think we could see that kind of headlines really, set off the move lower.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's the ceasefire talk is all about all the sides getting ready to prepare for what's to come, and I think it could be much
Yeah,
worse
for
than
the
what we've
next
seen.
stage. Yeah, for the next stage,
Exactly, for
right?
the next stage.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I don't buy the peace talk. I'm not buying it. I need to see it like for a year before I believe it. So yeah, I'm just
There's going to
too
be so
reluctant.
much peace. My goodness, so much peace. The best kind of peace.
No, there's not gonna be.
Peace.
Yeah, I think it's just time to prepare for both sides, get their missiles ready for what's to come. It's unfortunate, it's very sad, but hey, that's how it rolls. So we'll have to see and be prepared and do the best that we can. That's what we are here for. So appreciate everybody tuning in today. Make sure that you are giving everybody a follow. I did mention it in the community that I will be cutting down on the live stream during the week. So we will FOMO Friday every Friday. That's going to happen. During the week, we're going to cut it down a little bit. Bits will be doing his streams. I will only be hosting FOMO Fridays for now because there is a lot of stuff that has come up that I need to focus on separately. There's some advisory stuff that I'm doing, some projects that are getting ready to launch that I'm advising them not to launch until the end of the year. So we'll see how that plays out. And then also some of the clients that are wanting some help around AI as well. And so we'll be doing all of that separately. Of course, be focusing on building the YouTube channel, all of those other things on the side as well. But we'll be cutting down a little bit on the live streams. We'll be sticking to FOMO Friday, but make sure that you're following everybody because we will still be jumping on Twitter Spaces with Wolf Team. Bates will still be doing his live streams quite a bit as well, and everybody else. You guys know that, right? We are constantly jumping on those spaces on Wolf Crypto and other platforms as well. So make sure that you're following us, you're following those streams, and then also, of course, DM me if you want to be part of my community on Telegram. We'll get you added. It is free to join. There's no cost associated with it. Just DM me, and I'll make sure that you're added there, and you can keep an eye on all of the plays that we share and all of the alpha that we share in the group as well. So thank you so much for another great FOMO Friday. Kelvin, Price, William, Nat was there earlier. Bits of Wealth as well. They both had to drop off here. But thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back again next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
lady.